Hello and welcome back to the Reaper. So we've got another tactical debrief today, quite a cool one hopefully. The mission was Border Wars. This is actually a repeat pretty much of a mission that we did the day before, and the Blues failed miserably that time and the Reds won. So the rules are essentially the same. Blue base here and a bunch of blue targets that we have to go and kill. We have to kill that cargo ships there. We have a fleet there if we fancy attacking it, a military fleet. We have a convoy there and an EWR there, all viable targets. The Reds have targets as well. Now the Reds targets don't show up on this map, but there's like a power station around here somewhere, and a power station around here somewhere, and another target somewhere else I don't know, so we're just going to have to imagine them. The Reds have 6 humans, 2 Mirages and 4 flankers. They have 4 Su-30 AI players as well, which are at this base here. The Blues have a whole whack of blue humans as usual. Vegan flight, Harrier flight, A-10 flight, F-15 flight, plus 2 airborne F-16C AI Mirages, which are tasked to defend the base, and another pair of F-15s at base on QRA. So it's a big old fight. So stand by. I guess it's going to be complicated as usual, so we're going to follow each flight through. Okay, we can be very brief here. So we've got the Vigans, 4 Vigans, Cap, P-Man, Bloodknock and Trash. We zoom on the deck essentially straight to the convoy. We do not get intercepted by any bad guys. This was our cunning plan to get the Vigans off first, get them transonic towards the target before the Reds could even really get halfway. And you can see the Reds had only got about halfway, so we did a lot better tactics this time. We get to the convoy. There's a lot of faffing round, but we do end up destroying it, as you can remember from the movie. So that's good. Next, we'll check out the Harriers, if we can try and spot them in that mess. It's not the prettiest flight, but we've got Gumbo, Seethor and Dove there, and I think they had Auntie as well. Oh, Auntie went right round here. Auntie took the correct route. These guys are really not quite correct route. They should have gone. They were tasked to go out around here where Auntie went. That's where they're supposed to go. They obviously got confused. Through they go. They bypass. I think they must be using the canyons. They get past any possible bad guys, which appear to be all dead by then. Have a bit of confusion and then get on target and then end up destroying the target. Oh, wow, look at those SAMs. I didn't know they came out. Yep, one way or another they ended up destroying the target. No, they didn't lose any men. Static died. Static went in for dumb bombs, but she just got a little bit too close, and the Vulcan shot her. Next is the A-10 standby. Let's try and find the A-10s. There they are. That is Elo and Preston. They're tasked with helping destroy the cargo ships. They went the correct way. You can see they went out here to avoid any combat. It's very good. Unfortunately, by the time they got to the target, it was completely destroyed. And this is, as you know, the problem with the A-10s. They just they're no use in a tactical, fast-moving battlefield like this. By the time they've even identified a target and got to it, it's destroyed. This is why the A-10s never have any luck. They're just tactically useless. Right, so anyway, they didn't do anything wrong, that was fine, and that only leaves us the Cap flight. So this is an easy one, right, so let's try and find that. So up go the Cap flight, got to try and identify them. Right, we've got Merlin attender there, Sherman and Ignitus here, so let's do Sherman and Ignitus first. So we only had 4 guys in Cap, split into 2 pairs, which seemed pretty effective to be honest. Let's just get this right. There we go. Right, so wingman pair, Sherman and Ignitus cruising up to Angels 20 is where they want to be. It's near enough. And they set themselves on a lovely path. So the Vigans were operating around this area. So Sherman decided to put his Cap pair essentially between us and where he thought the hostiles would be coming through. There's kind of a main canyon that comes along here that the Reds used last time, and we figured they'd be coming through there again. And 2 of them were Wolf Shadow and Coffee pair came this way. So Sherman set himself up for that. See, they're doing good. 700 knots. They're doing Angels 20. They're doing everything right. Coffee and Wolf Shadow doing their cheeky move, staying in the canyon. This makes them completely invisible to AWACS, which we've got. We don't usually have one, but we do have one here. So they can see us, but we can't see them. So let's scroll that through a little bit. I haven't watched this yet, so I'm not sure what's going to happen. Lovely speed by the F-15s, everything's good. At this point, excuse me, the Vigans have picked up some radar signals, I think, from these two guys. And so the Vigans have run away. That was our job. So all four of us run away, and then the F-15s come over and inspect, which is exactly what's happened. So it's lovely when a plan works like this. So we've got Sherman diving in, speeding up, burners on, bags off, and they've detected the hostiles. They can't see them on their own radar yet. They must be using an AWACS signal or something. And wow, we're missiles out already. Now that was very efficient to detect these guys just as they're coming out of the canyons. So poor old Reds, as soon as they're going anywhere near the end of the canyons, they're already having 700 knot AMRAAMs rained down at them. So that was really good initiative from Sherman, which is great. Let's have a look at the shot. It's an invalid shot. It is a 15 miles at these guys are essentially on the deck at an average of about 8,000 feet, so it's about double what is an effective range of the missile at this altitude, or the optimal range. But it will give them the willies and shake them up, and that's probably his tactic. He's got another shot at 13 miles again, way out of limits, but it'll shake them up. I'm not a fan of these big posture shots, but hell, if it works, it works. So Sherman's doing the good thing of sending a couple of missiles out and then turning away, letting his wingman go in. Nothing wrong with that. And what will happen now is Ignatius will go in, engage, turn around, and then Sherman, by that time, will be turning back here, back in to cover him. That's the theory anyway. So it's now Ignatius is on the ball. Let's have a quick look at him, shall we? So he's trying to find Wolf Shadow's currently out of line of sight. Wolf Shadow's had a quick pop at Sherman as well. It's on a cold target at 10 miles, so it's not threatening at all. And Sherman's kept speed high. Ignatius burning in 750 knots. All good stuff so far. That is a shot at 9 miles. So that's Ignatius. So Angels 11. Angels just about an average of Angels 8 on a flanker target. So it is out of limits. It should be dodged pretty easily. When I say out of limits, it means it's out of optimal range. It could still potentially kill him, but it's not optimal. But you see it lost track. It lost track because Wolf Shadow, I think, went behind a mountain there. Terrain blocked it, and it lost its signal. So now, so Ignatius hasn't done what I would have done. I would have probably turned around and ran at that point, but he's keeping the pressure on, and he's done a 5 mile shot head on. Wolf Shadow, an average of Angels 7. That is easily optimal, so that is going to be a kill shot unless Wolf Shadow does something amazing. And he's doing a turnout. Speed's okay. 6G, 7G. There's not really much you can do to beat. The only way you can beat a 5 mile missile like that is if you were going 600 or 700 knots and you could maintain a 9G turn all the way around. It's pretty much the only way you can beat that, or some kind of super magic jink, but most people can't jink. So that is a hit. Got hit. It was just the right missile, the right amount of pressure for these boys. Then Ignatius is fired again, but I think it's probably at the carcass of Wolf Shadow, so I don't think that's a real missile. Maybe wrong. No. So Coffee at the moment is... No, he is in visual, so now it's who can identify who first. The flanker is a little bit better at doing that, I find, but in combat it's never that easy. So they're now canopy to canopy 2 miles, well within visual range to see each other. Who can see each other first now? And it's Ignatius that sees him first. And he's poor old Coffee. Coffee must be looking up here for Sherman. Never sees Ignatius come round. Ignatius is flanking 500 knots. I'm not sure this missile's going to hit, but we'll see. It's asking a lot for a missile to do. Oh, just. Yeah, see, Coffee was aiming at Sherman all this time. It didn't see Ignatius come around, so it was a nice cheeky little move. Not my kind of move, not very safe, but can be bloody effective, as you can see. So, poor old Sherman's got to start dodging and stuff now. He was about to turn round by the looks of it, but he's got this missile on him now, so he's got to go super defensive. And he's doing a lovely 700 knot split. It's completely safe, obviously. So at this point is where the teamwork breaks down. At this point, Ignatius should be peppering Coffee with missiles. something goes wrong in their teamwork between Sherman and Ignatius. And Sherman gets shot. Sherman should never get shot here. Sherman should never be in any danger at all. Yeah, Coffee should be dead a long time ago. Finally gets a missile out. By the time he gets a missile out, it's too late, because there is an ER on its way. Coffee's down, and an ET. And both of these thump into poor old Sherman. Nothing he can really do there to dodge. He's going head on at 5 miles. And he didn't put enough G anyway, but he never would have beat them. Thump, thump. Sherman's out. So there's a bit of miscommunication here. He just should have shot Coffee down straight away, rather than waiting for a minute or so. He just didn't have that time to play with. So that's a shame, but at least that is a couple of bad guys down. The Vigans then communicate with the F-15s. The Vigans are then free to go and attack these guys as they do. Right, last flight. Merlin and Tender. Right. And that's got 3 Harriers in play and a F-16 as well. So let's see what happens. I don't really know what's going to happen here. Where are the Reds gone? There they are. Right. Let's try and get a look at these guys. So we've got Marvin and Skay here. They look like they're arsing about. What they're actually doing is bombing a factory of some kind. So they are actually doing a job there. Rico and Udorosa, I don't know what their task was. They're either joining in or they're cap cover. I'm not entirely sure. So we've got these 2 boys coming in awfully slow at the moment, but they are only in a cruise. I would have expected them to have picked up these Reds by now and be on full burn, but I get the feeling they just haven't picked them up yet. So we're going to just fast forward that through. And they're not terrain blocking, so they should be seeing them. Yeah, building a tiny bit of speed, they're awfully close. Those Mirages have turned in. What was that all about? Mirages have turned in. I don't think they've seen anything. Maybe the F-16. Maybe this F-16. It's hard to know. Right. Bags off by these 2 boys. That's a sure indicator that they've detected some hostiles. So they're a little bit close, but 18 miles. They can still just about work with this. 19 miles, and they've detected these 2 flankers, I think. They're going to turn in. Burners on. Let's see, we've got 700 knots now. Got to get everything on their side. Maximum speed at this point. I think that the F-16 there is engaging the 2 Mirages. So that was very lucky that F-16 was there. If the F-16 wasn't there, I expect these Mirages probably would have flanked these F-15s, who are now radars hot. And probably would have wiped the F-15s out, I suspect. So I was lucky we did have AI on our side this time. And also to note that the red AI, these Su-30s, did not work. For some reason they did not take off. So this time Blues had the advantage in the AI. And it is enough to swing the balance, obviously, when you have AI on your side. Especially big jets like that, F-16s. Right, let's try and figure out what's going on here. So they've got their speed up. And they've changed target at the last minute. Right. So I think the communication is here. Tender says, okay, I'm going to go for these Mirages, who they can probably see them as well, which is good acquisition. It's hard to see things when they're nearly 10 miles away. Merlin said, right, okay, that's fine. I'm going to go for the Sukhois. Looks like Marvin's spotted the problem, and he's coming out to meet the F-15s. Probably too little, too late. No, he's not. They're still busy doing cap. They're still busy bombing, which is surprising because these they could easily see these RWR threats, these F-15s close. So it's surprising they're carrying on bombing at all. I would have thought they would have been engaging these guys fully. It's a shot from Tender. It's a pretty nasty shot, to be honest. You can see it's completely off vector. So whenever you do a shot, especially on a flanking target, it's incredibly important you aim your vector of your plane at them or in front of them if they're, especially if they're flanking. If you aim like this missile has to scrub all this speed acquiring yaw to get onto the target. So you're making the missile do a lot of work, and it doesn't like it. It'll never truly get up to speed. So it never got 2,000 knots. It makes a whole world of difference. So that's going to die a miserable death, and it was too far anyway. But I don't know what the plan was, so I'm not going to guess. But at least it shook them up a little bit. It got recoil off its case. Now this F-16's firing at them as well. So these are toasted Mirages at this point. F-16 fired at, wow, was that ambitious 15 miles or something like that. Udarosa's jettisoned his bombs and he's turning out. AMRAAMs have died. Tender's looking for these Mirages, but they're down low, they're terrain masking, they're flanking, they're hard to pick up at this point. He's got a shot off. It's a weird shot. Again, his aspect is kind of weird. I'm not sure what he's aiming at. As it turns out, it's pretty good because it's going to aim just in front of this guy, and that was a much more effective shot. Let's see what that was fired at. Pow. 6.5 miles on a flanking target. Technically, that's out of limits down here. Or very, very, very close to the limit, but technically it's out of limits, so it's going to require Udarosa to fly into it effectively for it to kill. And luckily, that is what he's going to do. He's not turning away from it. Now you can see the problem for Udarosa here. You see how his belly is, the way he's orientated, his belly is turned to this fighter, and therefore the belly is turned to that missile. That is a weak spot in the Mirage RWR detection system, so it can't actually, when his belly is facing a missile, or its canopy, it can't actually detect that missile, so he never even knew, Udarosa, for this whole stretch here, that this missile was actually coming, which is hence why he didn't dodge it, which is hence why he essentially just flew straight into it. And he probably, but the only time it got picked it up was when he was doing that roll right there, and then by which time it was too late and he was dead. So yeah, there was an F-16 scaring Udarosa, and Tender coming in and just getting a shot off. So was Tender, what's he doing now? So what he should be doing now, and he does know this, he's taking a shot, he should now turn around and go back to his wingman. Shouldn't fly in here looking for a dogfight. He's lucky it doesn't cost him, because Recoil's been scared off by the F-16. So keep trying to drum in again and again and again. You can't just charge in and look for trouble. Just take your shot, get out. Right, we can go back to, luckily Recoil has ejected from the fight. We're going to go back to Merlin now. See what Merlin got up to. So a bit of confusion there from Merlin, but he's back on track. Tracking his guys. Vector's not quite there at the moment. Okay, that's an okay vector. He's waiting for a decent range. Everything's good. His speed's a bit low. I'd like 750 knots. There's no excuse not to be 750 knots, really. He may have accidentally kept his fuel tanks on, which is a bit silly. Maybe not, I don't know. 700, here we go. 700 knots, a bit better. Right, and a missile away. Let's have a look at that. We've got an 8-mile cold Marvin here at an average of 5,000. So if we do the maths, that's actually out of limits. So for that missile to work, Marvin's going to have to turn into it. Skay is hot. So that's going for Marvin, and he is literally going to turn into it. And another shot, this one I think is for Skay at 7 miles, hot at an Angels of 5. That's just, yeah, this one is within limits. The vector's a bit crap. You can see when it was fired this way, but I think it's going to be okay. So Marvin should dodge his, but Skay is going to be in trouble with his, and that is indeed Skay here. And Marvin, as you can see, just turns straight into that missile. And I assume that is Marvin dead. So that was really bad fighting from the Su-33s. Human Su-33 has never seen them that bad before, so I don't know why they weren't fighting. They had plenty of warning that those F-15s and F-16s were there, but they just ignored them. So that was a bit weird. And then Marvin just trundles off home, and I think Recoil just trundles off home. So yeah, so the Blues ended up winning, killing all of their targets. Well, not all of them. They missed 2 out, I think, but we essentially got the mission done. I get the feeling Reds weren't flying to their capacity. I mean, these guys fought back over here. The Mirages fought back, but against overwhelming odds. These two here just didn't fight back at all. They had no interest of air-to-air combat at all. So I get the feeling they gave us a bit of an easy ride, and hence we won with only, I think, 1 or 2 planes lost or something like that. So swung the other way a bit this time. A bit unfair for the Reds, but there you go. Anyway, that's the mission done. Let's see what we get next time.